Okay, we're back.
I'm ready.
It's more of the afternoon drive with Jake Wimberly, where he's
Live
and local on Jackson Sports Authority, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, and online at thezone1059.com.
Taking you home on a Wednesday, we are brought to you by Bailey Lumber. Not too far from here, 2150 Mississippi Highway 471 in Brandon. Of course, you got you covered on everything you need for your construction needs. GAF roofing specials, drywall, lumber, supplies, windows, and doors. Go to BaileyLumber.com, or you can swing in Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're at Hartfield Academy today as we move along. It is the high school football road tour brought to you by the Lovejoy Group, and we're at Hartfield Academy. Right now, their head football coach, Craig Bowman, kind enough to jump in with us and take a break. Coach, thanks so much. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jake. This is exciting, man.
Hey, I appreciate it.
The new press box.
Yeah, this press box is awesome. This is really good. So this is this year one of this press box?
Yep. Went up right there before the summer started. So just got the air conditioner hooked up a few weeks ago. We're ready to roll.
No, and thankfully, because it is working. And, it's funny. We talk about the evolution of, and we'll get into your team here in just a bit, but I know you can appreciate this, the evolution of high school football and now Texas, let's move them aside. They've always been a different animal. California as well. You get down into Florida, but the evolution of turf fields, the evolution of press boxes, and anybody that's ever called high school football can relate to this, that's done it any length of time. I've called football games almost out of like what would be almost a deer stand, but now you've got nice press boxes like what you guys here, the football field. It's moved in a different direction, hasn't it?
Oh my gosh! I mean, it's all about the experience now. It seems like
it is.
So we've done a really good job of kind of taking our time, going one piece at a time. We actually started with the turf field, and then we knew we were moving to 6A. We had to expand our visitor bleachers, and then we come with a video board, and then this was the last piece. We went from a 500-seat stone bleacher monstrosity eyesore, and to almost 1,100 now. So man, it's exciting, and the kids are super fired up, and the fans are fired up.
Talking to T.J. Jones and Cayman Tapper, and appreciate you sending those guys up. 2 seniors, 2 leaders on this football team. They talked about their experience here, and you talked to T.J., a guy who's been here for most of his life. It seems like he was talking about, hey, I remember when this was a grass field, and I remember when, like you said, the bleachers. What you guys have done here is nothing short of amazing. And of course, talking with David Horner earlier. Talk a little bit about that for you as a leader, head football coach, just to see this thing now move in a different direction. You got the championship. We've talked about that. But then to change the trajectory now even again, because like I was talking to 2 guys there, y'all aren't sneaking up on anybody on Friday nights anymore.
No, we're not. And look, it has been – I was here in 2019, and actually one of our starting offensive linemen from that year, Eli Gooden, was out here at practice, and he said, man, things are so much different now. I wish we had this. And I said, they were the year that won 8 football games, and I can remember fans coming up to me after games. I was offensive coordinator, and said things like, we've always come to the games, but man, it's really fun to win.
Yeah.
And so it was building a winning culture, and the kids had to buy in, and it doesn't just change with talking about it. Winning takes a lot of effort, starting in January and pushing all the way through a deep season, and trying to keep the guys interested, and trying to keep kids interested these days are tough.
Yeah.
But man, these kids buy into things, and when they see the support of our community and our school, it just kind of raises their level of play.
You brought up something about the time that it takes. We had Mike Kershaw on last hour, head football coach at Mississippi College, and we were talking about he's in a very similar situation where you were several years ago now, is trying to build a culture, trying to change the way people think. I guess it's specific, but that does take some time and some patience, right, out of coaches, players, everybody, because I'm sure the mindset of your team today, as you came off the field, you said, hey, you told me, and I'm paraphrasing here, best practice we probably had all camp so far. Today's mentality much different than 4 years ago.
Absolutely, and Mike and I have spent some time together, and I'll be honest, just to plug Mike for a minute, we're super excited about what Mike is trying to do over at Mississippi College. I told him the first time I met him, the high school coaches in our area need Mississippi College to be a good product. So our kids want to go there, and there's great talent right here, and he's invested, and so I'm really excited about Mike, and we've talked a lot about building a program, and he's sharing right now. He compared it was a great comparison. He said, right now I feel like I'm putting the wiring into a new house. He said it's much needed. You got to have it, and it's things like infrastructure and lockers and those culture things that matter to the kids, but you don't see it. The public eye doesn't see it.
Right.
And that's where it starts. I mean, TJ talked about a grass field. It has to start with a grass field, and it just kind of, you have to build those, you have to wire the house before you can paint it and put the nice frills in, and all the nice cabinetry and all that stuff that goes into it. It takes time, and so man, we're excited about Mike, and I know what he has a big hill to climb, but if you're not up for the challenge, it's going to be a tough road to hoe. But I was up for the challenge here when I got the job in 2020, and man, we've worked really hard to get to where we are right now.
Craig Bowman, head football coach, Hartfield Academy. Hawks taking in another practice today. They're getting ready for kickoff against, I believe, Heritage on the 16th, correct?
Yep, next week.
Heritage. It's hard to believe it's next week.
Next week.
Do you, just as a football coach, and I know coaches talk, do you like where the calendar is? Is there talk of, we're not getting any cooler until October, so is it kind of, it is what it is, or is there any chatter about moving that? Because some of the fans always have talked about that, about, hey, maybe we need to start later in the season, but then you get into the school calendar as well. So
I can't have it both ways, Jay. I'll tell you this. I like going ahead and starting. I don't like jamborees. I don't like scrimmages. It's kind of that fake emotion that you point kids to, but they know it's a scrimmage. They know it's a jamboree. So my thing is man, let's just go ahead and roll out and play. And it's going to be ugly. It's going to be sloppy. We're going to have guys that go out on kickoff and kick return because it's August 16th and not, September.
Right.
I do wish we played a little bit later in the season. It would be fun to play in December and get that kind of cold weather. You really only get like 2 games to wear a long sleeve shirt on the sideline.
That's true. Yeah.
But I can't have it both ways. So, I'd rather just let's roll the ball out there and get it rolling. I'm a pretty impatient guy, so let's start season and let's go.
And of course, you guys kind of play that way. And I say that, I joke. Talk about that. This is where I'm going to go next. Offensive philosophy. You see it more and more now. Talking to Mike about it, Coach Kershaw about it, and you see it around the not just here but around football now. Everybody's playing 4 wide. Everybody's playing hair on fire. But there has to be a balance on that too, right? As a coach, because this is one of the things people are discussing about Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State is, he's got a brand new defensive coordinator. Does he outpace his defensive coordinator? Too many plays too quickly. Talk about that, about how you've seen offensive philosophy change.
Yeah, it trends like shoes.
Right.
Offense trends like shoes, and so all offenses basically do the same thing, but everybody wants to kind of have the cool new shoes. And look, there are teams in our league. Herbert at MRA plays super fast, and that's what he does. We want the ability here at Hartfield to play fast, but we also, even though I've always been on the offensive side of the ball, I'm more of a defensive-minded guy in the sense of if we keep teams from scoring, we have a really good chance of winning. I don't want to get into – I hope me and MRA never get into a 63-56 game again. That was the most stressful night of my life. I don't enjoy those games. I actually think Herbert enjoys those games. I like a defensive struggle, and so even though we can go fast, I'm constantly in our offensive coordinator's ear about protecting our defense. Right? We want to put our defense in the best possible position we can. I don't ever want to take away from them. I'm all about putting the best athletes I possibly can on defense. But yeah, offenses, man, playing fast, I think it does. If you can play fast, you can do some really neat things, and you can put the other team at a disadvantage. We are going to more try and out personnel you, out leverage you. We want to find what we play a lot of different personnel groups. We'll play with a tight end. You never see tight ends anymore. They're coming back.
Yeah, they are coming
back.
Jake,
they're coming back. They're trending back, just like Birkenstocks and New Balances. You know what I'm saying? They're trending back. So we like to do those kind of things. We have some real unique personnel packages that we like to play with.
You got time to stick around one more segment?
Absolutely.
I can take a time out. I do want to come back to that because you bring up something that I have talked about tight ends. I want to get a little bit more into your personnel groups, kind of what you have this year. We are brought to you by Ashley Howie, Cry Like Realtors, 769-226-3782, Facebook.com/Ashley Howie Realtor. We're also brought to you by Clinton Body Shop, 601-924-2159, OEM factory certified. All the manufacturers that trust. One more segment to go. We're at Hartfield Academy today. Back in a bit.
This is the home of the Chuck Oliver Show every weekday from 10 till noon on Mississippi's live and local sports authority. And where? We're back to take Quiverly for the afternoon drive on ESPN 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
Final segment of the program on a Wednesday. We're brought to you by Davini Equipment and our friends at Kubota. Kubota USA here to help you out today, courtesy of Davini Equipment in Madison and Jackson. Stop by one of your local Davini Equipment dealerships. You can go to Madison or Jackson. Go to Davini.com and KubotaUSA.com for great deals on Kubota construction lines. Also, tractors, zero turns, and more. We're at Hartfield Academy today, high school football road tour. We will go to Jackson Academy tomorrow as Craig Bowman, head football coach, kind enough to sit in with us, take a little load off, and talk a little football. Coach, I appreciate you guys having us out today for sure.
Man, I appreciate y'all. Jake, y'all did a great job of covering our league, and, man, these kids enjoy coverage, and so we appreciate all y'all do.
Let's go back to something you mentioned. You said, hey, the tight end position's coming back. And I thought that was interesting because I've said this for a couple years. It's definitely coming back, but it's coming back in a different form. You know, if you go back, 15, 20 years ago, the old-fashioned tight end, that was put your hand in the ground. Now, obviously, you got some guys like Tony Gonzalez and some others in the NFL that could catch it, but that was more of your block tight end. He's just going to go out and catch a little, 5-yard button hook. May catch the old banana route, if you remember those things tight ends run out of the wing tee and stuff. But now it is coming back. You look at what even college football, the way Georgia, Brock Bowers, they used a tight end. Michigan last year used, 11 personnel, 12 personnel. It's coming back in the high school game as well, isn't it?
Oh, big time. And look, after I think it was after Simpson, our third game of the season, we did not run a personnel group that didn't have, either 11 personnel or 21 personnel. And we had Reed Gaston, the big 6'4", who's going to Southern Miss to pitch, and he kind of just changed the game for us. And it kind of gives you that extra blocker, because so many. And listen, we have incredible defensive coordinators in our league, but defensive coordinators have to remember how to line up to a tight end. They're used to 4 and 5 wide. All of a sudden now, they're having to bring somebody else down in the box. And if you've got a guy like we had last year with Reed, that can push the vertical game a little bit, it makes them dangerous. And that's really what you're going to do is these kids are getting bigger and more athletic, where they can move like a slot receiver but block like a tackle. And we had that last year, and it was great for us. And we've got another one this year in a kid named Sam Oakley, and he's not quite 6'4", but he's a big solid kid that can run and can block. And so we're going to be in 11 personnel and 21 personnel again. Maybe not every down, but we're going to be in a lot.
Talk a little bit about your football team. Last year we talked about it with you. It was a big story because they stood out. Your offensive front, defensive front dominated at times. Big parts of the reason that you guys were able to win state last year. Talk about those position groups this year, and then talk about the importance, because as fans we watch football. We want to see quarterbacks throw it, receivers catch it, big plays, right? But if you don't play up front, especially late in the year, you're not going to win it.
You're not. You got to. I mean, football is always going to be football, right? You got to block, you got to tackle, and you got to protect the football. It doesn't matter what you do offensively, defensively. That's what you have to do. So yeah, our offensive line last year was really probably the heart and soul of our team. We had 4 seniors. 2 of them are playing baseball at Hines. One of them's playing at Belhaven. One of them's playing at Jackson State. And so we're returning 1 starter. So we've it's been some growing pains this spring and this fall camp, but the offensive front's coming along. Defensive front is as good as it can be,
sure.
Jake, with Reggie and London, and then we have our nose guard is Brandon Turner, who's he's our quiet student council, but he's pound for pound our strongest kid and kind of wrecks a lot of things right there from the nose guard position. But our defensive line I'd put them up against any D line in the state.
Talk a little bit about the difference. Now I'm getting into because I'm a dork when it comes to football, and not to bore our audience, but you start talking about a 4-man front versus 5-man front or a 3-man front, and most coaches would tell you from over time and years, You got to have a really good nose to run a three-man front. If you don't have a good nose, you can't run a three-man front. That's why a lot of teams run four, especially in high school football. But to have that guy that you can shade over a center, how important it and some coaches would say, hey, we're lucky to have that guy.
Absolutely. And so Brandon, you kind of have and Brandon is 230, 240 pounds, 500-pound squatter. But Brandon is a slicer and dicer. I mean, he's super quick off the ball. He gives centers all kinds of trouble because centers have to think about a lot, plus they have to snap the ball, plus they have to step, and he's right in your face right there, which is great. And the other theory in nose guards is you got a two-gapper, right? You got a bigger kid. Terrence Cody was the epitome of that guy. He was going to take 2 to 3 blockers, period. And we have a 10th grader that's more fits that style, but Brandon, we love a fast little nose guard, man. They make things happen.
Craig Bowman on your radio, head football coach, Hartfield Academy coach. We've got about 4 minutes left here. When you look at football, as far as I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, the NFL, we just saw the NFL change their kickoff rules.
Right.
Typically, if something that drastic, in quotes, changes, it trickles. Do you expect to maybe see that in the high school ranks here in the next few years?
I think they're going to change something. Look, you may get Twitter blown up. I'm fine with if before the game we both agree that we'll just put it on the 25-yard line.
And I've heard other people say that.
And I'd be fine with it. And listen, I've got 2 great returners. I've got Braylon Womack and Kinsey West back there. So if coaches are listening out there, y'all want to kick it to them, that's fine with me, right? But it is a high-speed collision, and like I said, I may get blown up about this, but I think it protects the kids, and I think it takes, the right kind of kid and a lot of scheme to try and protect your kids and do all these things. I'm for why even have it? Then it's like, what about your onside kick and stuff like that? Well, I'm not going to figure all that out in 4 minutes on the Jake Wimberly show. But
sure.
I am for some change in that.
Yeah, and I think if you talk to coaches, if you line 10 coaches up and you talk 10, it'd probably be somewhere down the middle. A lot of people, and of course there's the argument, especially when you get into the National Football League side as well. That's where a lot of guys, especially if they're drafted, rounds 5 through 7, free agency, they make their ways onto teams. So there's a lot of back and forth. But then the safety element, you still have to play that, because you even look at what you guys do in other high schools now. Everybody's wearing the protective shields. Everybody's doing everything they can to eliminate some of that extra contact through the week.
Absolutely. It's about protecting the kids. I mean, 100%. If we're not protecting, we're not doing our job. That's why we work so hard in the weight room. Weight room is about protection and injury protection. That's why training is so important. That's why recovery has become a big part of our conversations in our game. I mean, we are constantly reading and trying to do everything to give our kids an advantage. One, to be a better athlete, but also to be a recovered athlete. And injury is a big part of it, and how they come out of it. And yeah, I'm for the Guardians. I wish I would have come up with it, Jake. It's probably cost $1 to make, and they're charging $60 or $65 a piece. It's
we wouldn't be here today.
Heck no. But it's right for our kids.
And we got about 2 minutes. You mentioned recovery. That's something when I was coming up. This is a long time ago because I'm an old guy now. Recovery was your day off on Sunday, right? That was your recovery. And I'm kidding, but I'm not. Now it's all about making sure you're stretching right, you're rolling out right. Maybe it's chiropractic work. There's so much that goes into recovery, but it's been able to prolong the athlete.
Absolutely, and I mean we have a place right here in Flowood. Maybe I get some free advertising on this, but Recovery, which is a family at Hartfield, they have the cryo machine. They have a chamber you sit in and breathe. I mean, they have all these things, and our athletes are very in tune to it. And so if we're not in tune to it as coaches, we're missing something. And these kids demand that from us also.
Right.
It's not just about ice baths anymore.
Oh yeah.
It's about cryo and cupping and all these other things. And we got to be in tune to it because that's what they're paying attention to.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking some time with us today. Thank you for having us out here today. And I want to tell you, best of luck for this year. I think you guys are going to have a great year, and we look forward to seeing what you guys do this year.
Jake, man, always love being on here. Go Hawks.
Hey, appreciate it. Craig Bowman on your radio. We got about 1 minute left.